My first record store day journey coming right up. Okay, Jeff here. So today's record store day, and I, for the first time, decided to get up and experience it in some way, as people do. But let me start back a little earlier than that. So last night, a couple of the online sites, mainly some of the ones that sold the Christian material that we shop from often, like Boone's Overstock, Gerder Music, Rox Records, along with the other ones associated with Rox, all had sales that started in the nighttime. Gerder and Boone started around 5 yesterday, so scooped up some stuff there. But Rox was having the biggest, Rox and No Life Till Metal, which is Scott Waters Group, and the Christian metal distro that they do, were having a 50% off sale. Unfortunately, they're on the East Coast, on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast, but they did have it start at midnight our time. Fortunately, otherwise it would have been like 3 o'clock in the morning. So I decided I wanted to go ahead and get involved in that. Waited till midnight so I could place an order to get some stuff from them, and then decided, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to get up. The local record store day was started. You had to be there. Doors open at 6 a.m., but they didn't start selling until 8. I was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to go. That's, it's after midnight. We'll see what happens. Anyway, dog woke me up at 10 minutes till 6. I was laying there thinking, should I go? Should I not go? Do I really want to experience it? Do I care? There's only 2 things I really want. They said they had a few of them. Should be fine. But the more I sat and thought about it, the more I couldn't get back to sleep. So 6:10, I jumped up, threw my clothes on, got in the car and drove down there. Arrived at 6:30. When I got there, the record store looked empty. The parking lot wasn't too full. And you go in and they give you a number. And then I realized that all the people were in the back where they had free coffee and donuts and stuff like that. And that I was number 53, so there were 52 other people there ahead of me by 6:30. Didn't get many beyond that, it seems like, because by the time everything started rolling, there was probably only another 10 people behind me, so I guess everybody who was coming came. I went there with the intent of picking up 2 things, both of which they said they had quite a few copies of. Or, well, one of them they said they had quite a few copies of. I take that back. Yeah, the 2 things were quite a few copies. The third item I wanted, I wasn't sure how many they had. They had a video that showed the night before, yesterday, where he had set up everything after they closed and showed a video of everything and where it was. And I could see that the one other item I wanted was, the stack wasn't that big, whereas he did say he had plenty of the other 2 items. So you stand in line, and they come around the line when you're in your number order. And they come around before the sales start, and they ask you what your first pick is. And then they send a runner out to the store, and they get it for you. So I'm thinking, well, I better get that one item that they didn't have as many of. But then the guy in front of me requested another item that I thought I would look at, but I wasn't sure I was going to buy it. And I realized they only had like 2 of those, and he just got one. I mean, they had very few. And so when they came back after asking him, they asked me, and I said, Ace Frehley. Ace Frehley's live, first time on vinyl. You see, it's a record store day. It's on orange. Now remember this for a minute. It's on orange vinyl. And this is live. And I was kind of like, is this like supposedly, I have the Live Plus One, but this is first time on vinyl. This is obviously not that. And the songs are different, and there's no Plus One or whatever. So it's got, fan favorites there, some good stuff. Let me get it out a little further. Rocket Ride. And then inside it's got the inner sleeve says, Live Plus 4, the videotape. Which makes me wonder, did they re-release that too? Because it looks like it's an ad for the video cassette, for the VHS. And that's all coming up. So, I don't know. I didn't look up what that's about. But it's basically a 6-song EP. It's, like I said, on orange, and from 1988, whereas the Live Plus one was from 1987. So my first pick ended up being something I wasn't even necessarily going to get, but I did that. So then they came around a second time for your second pick, that I better get the one that I wanted that they didn't have a lot of, and that was Government Mules Volume 3 of the Bring On the Music. Now, if you recall, if anybody who watched previous videos, I do have volumes 1 and 2, and these were exclusively through the band pre-orders, and so they're on a special color of vinyl that was different and not available to the public when they released them after the pre-orders. So anyway, I felt like I had to have number 3. It's on a color vinyl here too, triple striped, purple and it's kind of cool, purple and yellow. It is a Record Store Day exclusive. Kept a little sticker there and this glare. Record Store Day exclusive. So I went ahead and grabbed that. So the first time on vinyl. So that kind of completes, I guess, that show as far as the releases go. So good. I'm good. The other 2 items I wanted, they did mention on the video they had quite a few of. So I could wait for those, and I did. So I got Dragon Town by Alice Cooper. Now, I just wanted to, the Ace Frehley was on orange, and it just turns out that so is this. It's almost like identical orange in color. Now this is one of those on 45 RPM, so it's on 2. It's a 2 record set, 1 and 2. Both of them are the same color. It does have pipe sticker come out. There's the back of it. Basically the same as the CDs and stuff. And then we got the gatefold. So yes, this was, if you're not familiar as much with Alice's, he went through the 70s sound, he went through the 80s sound, and then this would have been the 90s, early 2000s, where he went into this was 2001, whereas the stuff was really, really heavy. And this is one of those. So this and Brutal Planet are probably 2 of his heavier releases. And I found Brutal Planet today online for a decent price, so I ordered that just so I could go ahead and kind of finish up that little area there. And then the other one was his live 1973, first time on vinyl, $1 Billion Babies. Got the hype sticker there. It says live Alice Cooper 1973 $1 Billion Babies tour. Plus, I guess there wasn't enough room on the album to fit all the songs, so I gave you a 45 that's got 2 extra songs. School's Out and Under My Wheels. And this is one of the first 7 inches in quite a while that I've seen that's got the full hole. That's a newer release. Usually they just put the single hole, make it easy so you don't have to put the adapter in it. This is on plain black. It is, I believe, it's first time on vinyl, limited to 6,000 copies. This is the only one out of all the new releases that came in an actual polyline sleeve, so pretty high quality for that. There is no anything, no download card, no insert. The inside of it is $1 Billion Babies, snakeskin looking thing, if you could kind of see what's in there. That's the back. But yeah, there's no real liner notes or anything, no insert or anything to go with it. So it's just, but I listened to it, and it's a great show. It's really great recording too. Surprised, I'm sure it's probably been bootlegged out there, but really, it was really good. It wasn't in any way, like you would think maybe back in those days, bootleggy might sound, but it wasn't. It's really great. So I was really enjoyed that. All right, then that's the end of my Record Store Day. I picked up those 4 items. Oh, 1 second. Pause. Okay, so I forgot that I did have another item that I left over there. So as you're standing in line, they started doing giveaways. You had to be there in line by 7:15, and they were just calling out your number and giving away a bunch of different albums, stuff like that. Most of the stuff I'm listening to, I'm like, not interested. The main thing I was interested in, and they had announced that it was going to be given away, was they were giving away one of those Van Halen Japanese single box sets. And I thought, chances of me getting it, slim, but let's go take a chance. They gave out quite a few things, but I don't think they gave out something for everybody in the line, but I was, boom, they called my number, 53. And I think I probably got one of the most expensive and larger items that I think they gave away, because they were giving away, single albums, Johnny Cash and Jethro Tull DVDs, and I saw Lindsey Buckingham box set, but still it was like 2 items, picture discs, things like that. But what I got was the Woodstock 50th anniversary Back to the Garden 5 record set. 5 single records, and the light is really flashing there. Anyway, now, I mean, this has everything on it from Richie Havens, Joan Baez, Grateful Dead, Creedence, Janis Joplin, Sly and the Family Stones, The Who, Jefferson Airplane, Joe Cocker, Blood, Sweat and Tears, Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Sha Na Na, and others. Now, I know they've been re-releasing a lot of the Woodstock stuff recently, and I was 3 years old or so when that happened. But still appreciate the old music, and I'd been thinking maybe I'd buy some of it, but the reissues are pretty expensive, so I never did. So this is neat to really win. But then I got to thinking, is it something that I personally have to have, that I'm going to listen to a lot? So I may keep it sealed and attempt to sell it on Discogs or something to make up for the money I spent today between all these other things that I bought. All right, as I'm sitting here doing all this stuff this morning, the mailman comes and dropped off an album that is part of one of the earlier. I purchased this. I showed the CDs of this a while back. Betrayals, Renaissance of Death. This is a Christian early thrash band from the 90s, and it was reissued on Girder. Now, I don't think technically this wasn't listed as a limited run vinyl, but it has been labeled as one of those limited run vinyls. Before they even did all the limited run vinyl series, he had advertised this and the CD for the second album as a bundle, which I bought, and they sent me the CDs. I showed them before a couple of weeks ago, and then the vinyl hit. So I guess they went ahead and added that to the limited run vinyl, because the second album they said would be coming on vinyl. It is limited run vinyl, and it has been on pre-order too. So this one came in first, though. I haven't even opened it. This came in the mail as I was sitting here doing things before doing this video. A couple days ago, I did get another 3 of the limited run vinyl in from again, that's more for those of you not as familiar, that's more the Christian rock stuff, and this is the stuff from Retroactive. We have Sacred Warrior Obsessions. This would have been their 3rd album, and I don't know if this had ever been on vinyl. I haven't checked. I think the first 2 were, but then this would have been in that age where vinyl had stopped. I think it might have been one of those. But anyway, so good to have on vinyl. It's really nice. All of these were going to be random colored, and this one ended up being kind of a watermelon-y looking, pinkish, orangish. Hard to describe exactly the color, but I got some glare there. And this is the band, if you're not familiar with them, they're, back in the day when they first came out, they were, related a lot to the singer sounding, kind of Queensryche, kind of Jeff Tate-ish. He's got that kind of soaring vocals. So this was always labeled to people who were fans. This is kind of like the Christian Queensryche. Sort of, kind of. There was always comparisons made, and that's who this was made to. So, this is the 3rd album. The second album had already been released a year or so ago on vinyl, and I'm assuming at some point maybe the first one will. Yeah, it was re-released on CD, but it hasn't been on vinyl yet. Anyway. Deliverance, this is everybody hopefully who watches these type of videos is probably familiar with Deliverance. They've been doing a lot of stuff on vinyl. This is one of the thrash bands of the day. This is the one album that people kind of freaked out over when it first came out, because it wasn't really thrash. It's when they kind of changed. Called this like, how people freaked out over Metallica's Black Album when it first came out? That would be this album. I loved it, still love it. Great album. It's just a little less aggressive. But it is first time, I think it's the first time on vinyl. It ends up being on this purplish swirl. And yeah, great stuff. And Day of Execution. So check it out. And then the last one was Bride's Silence is Madness. And try to get that glare off of there. This would have been Bride's 3rd album. Yeah, I don't have their 1st and 2nd on vinyl yet, at least. Anyway, their 3rd And again, this was one of those ones that kind of changed directions for Bride. Their first two albums were pretty straightforward, aggressive, melodic metal. This one was a little more laid back, but I put it on the other day, and it just sounds phenomenal on vinyl. Even a friend of mine was like, it sounds night and day difference from the old CD release. I'm not sure if this one ever had originally came out on vinyl. But anyway, so it's just beefier, and the songs brought back so many memories, and it was just great stuff. In no way lighter, but just somewhat slightly different than the first two albums. Just a little. It's even hard to explain. If you did a comparison, it's just not as quite the same. The one after this is even more drastically noticeably different. Still a great album though. Anyway, Bride is one of those early Christian metal bands that is still doing great stuff today, and have recently released an album, year or two ago. So they're still working, and Dale Thompson, the singer, is doing all kinds of things with other bands. Anyway, we're checking out. So that is it for now. I guess some of the next stuff to come in probably is going to be the stuff I ordered yesterday for Black Friday's online stuff. As soon as I get that stuff out, I ordered quite a bit because everything was cut back pretty inexpensively, and picked up a lot of things. There was Girder. If you go to look at it now, Girder Music is selling lots and lots of vinyl at like $4, and these are like new releases. Some of them are new, some of them are older stuff that's unopened. It's an amazing sale he's running there. Same with Boone's Overstock. They've got like over 100 and some odd items that are marked down, CDs, vinyl, all kinds of stuff. And Rocks, of course, go there, 50% off. It is 50% off of all three of the stores. You can't go wrong. It's the best cutback, ever. Probably the biggest sale they've ever had. Anyway, that's enough rambling for me. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you had a great record store day and got everything you wanted. And if not, you're going to have to pay a pretty penny to get them online, because everybody's going to rip you off. But anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Rock on.